in terms of what we can do, we know that this is political, right? We know that this is all coming from the right-wing Cubans in Miami. That's who they are. And we know that they are terrorists, right? These are the people that they were investigating. Unfortunately, they have a lot of political clout. Still, to this day. It's waned a lot, thanks a lot to the work of the biggest silver. Thanks a lot to Vivian's father, Max Lesnick, in Miami, who has done a lot to really dilute the influence of the right-wing Cubans. But we know that they are there. They're legally there, like Posada and others that have been the real terrorists, right? That have really killed people in Cuba. That they still do, and they still do a lot of influence. And not only are they strong in the Republican Party, they have infiltrated the Democratic Party also. And so I think part of the solution when we talk about trying to release the Cuban Five, it also means that it's got to start in Florida. And there has been a lot of work done now. There's a group called Democracia Now, and a young man named Jorge Lucier did a tremendous amount of work. They registered, I think, 1 million voters in Cuba, many of them Latino voters, so that there is some political change now. The guy who's running now for the governor of the Senate, this guy Rubio, who's also a right-wing Cuban. I think if he gets elected, we're going to take a big step backwards because he is one of those very conservative Cubans. And so I think that the hesitancy, and I'm just saying this, I mean, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just assuming because, I've been involved politically since I was 25 years old when I got involved in the community service organization. Before we started the United Farm Workers, and one of the legacies that we had from CSO was to do the political work, voter registration, GOTV, get out the vote, and do the political advocacy. I was a lobbyist, have been a lobbyist for I worked for the United Farm Workers since I was 25 years old, and got many bills passed through the state legislature. I was a key person working on the last amnesty bill in 1986, where we got 1,400,000 farm workers legalized, right? And then at amnesty, and I worked at both of the Congress. So I can understand the political stuff a little bit, and so when we look at the case here of the Cuban Five, it's not just a legal case, I think it's a political issue. And so, some of that work, we've got to do some of that work in Miami to be able to, I think a lot of work has to be done in Florida, but actually, when we talk about doing the work that we need to do, to be able to get them freed up, And of course, it's such a clear-cut case in terms of their innocence. I mean, their innocence is so clear that I think it's an easy case to sell to the American public. And of course, the other thing that kind of worries me, and I don't know, and I tend to find out, is Obama is our president and Hillary is our Secretary of State, but they've got all of this other people that they inherited from the Bush administration, right, that are still there. You may know that there are literally hundreds of appointments that the Obama administration has made that have not been confirmed by the U.S. Senate, And so a lot of this stuff, you've got all the Bush people who are still in those positions. So a lot of the bad things that are still happening with this administration are sort of still being perpetuated by the people from the Bush administration. And so I think we have to kind of do some research to see, who the players are right now in terms of the State Department, to see what buttons we have to push or we have to lobby to try to get the word out, at least politically, about this issue. The idea of that we have to do a campaign is always a good one. You can remember Angela Davis, right? It was a big campaign that was done by the people that basically was able to free Angela from her false accusations that they had made against her. And this is such a compelling case that I think that's definitely a campaign. We can win the public with a campaign on behalf of Cuban Five. I think I feel really guilty because I think we could have probably been doing a lot more. But I think a lot of people probably like myself would say, oh, well, maybe we can win this up in the courts, and so we weren't doing as much as we should have done before. I personally make it my personal mission whenever I speak in public to talk about Cuba, not specifically about the Cuban Five, but every place whenever I speak publicly, and I get a lot of flack from it, by the way. In fact, they're saying that in Arizona, the reason that they passed that law to take away ethnic studies is because of Dolores Huerta. The superintendent of schools actually said this in a press conference, but that's the reason Virginia Olympic study, because of some of the comments that I make, like, supporting of gay rights. You're not supposed to say this to high school students, right? And you're not supposed to talk about how Venezuela, uses their oil in Venezuela for the people of Venezuela. Okay, and that's supposed to be really, really bad. And of course, you're not supposed to tell people that, hey, Cuba has a free education and free health care for all of its citizens, right? And that I make it a point to include that in all of my speeches. And of course, people are always done. And then I always invite students to go to Cuba to become doctors. You can get your free medical education in Cuba, and I mentioned that I have a personal friend of mine that I recruited to go to Cuba, and she's graduating this year. She's going to become a doctor now. And that's my way of just informing people, what's happening in Cuba, and then of course I read in Venezuela on, and I always have 2 or 3 Venezuelans that are ready to meet me afterwards, or a couple of Cubans that are ready to you don't really know what's going on there. I tell them, hey, I was just there. I've been there. I've been there. Tell me because I was there. I saw with my own eyes what South was doing. I was like many of you that have been to Cuba, see what, and I love this. There was one thing on NPR. They were interviewing someone right after the our economic meltdown here, and they interviewed this Cuban, and he said, in Cuba, uno vive, vive, vive. In Cuba, you can live. In the United States, if you don't work, you can't live. In Cuba, even if you don't have a job, you can still eat, right? And you can still have a place to stay. And so, this has been my contribution in terms of just trying to set the record straight on Cuba, wherever I go. And that's what I say to do. So I really want to, we've talked. At least I have talked about what I need to do personally on this case, and I have some ideas that I won't share right now because, like I said, I want to kind of see where the players are, and see where we have to, where the work has to be done. But I definitely want to get involved with the campaign, and will help in every way that I can.